plop these books out like they're, I guess they're not babies, but
a little bit.
You know, just what else you do daily. Poops. That was horrible. I'm so sorry.
In this episode, I traveled to Dallas, Texas to interview the one and only Connor Franta on his book tour. Connor Franta is a very popular YouTuber and influencer. He uploaded his first video to YouTube in August of 2010, and since then, his channel, which features lifestyle vlogs, comedy sketches, and inspirational videos, has gained more than 393 million views and over 5.62 million subscribers. In 2014, he released a compilation album of curated songs from his favorite up-and-coming musicians, which led to the creation of his record label, Heardwell. The following year, he launched Common Culture, a brand with a line of coffee products, which expanded to the umbrella brand for all of his products. It is a lifestyle brand offering, quote, superior clothing, premium coffee, and a variety of undiscovered musical talent. He is also a New York Times bestselling author and is currently on tour with his own traveling art installation as a companion piece to his recently released book, Note to Self. Clearly, the young Minnesotan has much to teach us. If you're interested in growing your YouTube channel, or if you're an artist and a creator and you're interested in growing your personal brand, growing your following, or expanding into new endeavors, I think you will really love this interview with Connor Franta. Thank you for joining me for another episode of The Pursuit. I'm Kelsey Humphreys here with the Connor Franta. And what's so cool, okay, I have interviewed many multimillionaires, people with private jets and hundreds of employees, and you have more social media followers and probably more influence than any of them.
Oh my goodness.
Which is the power of YouTube and just being an awesome personality and also really connecting with your peeps. Oh. Like really valuing your fans. So we're going to talk about
the basis of my whole career.
Which is, but you really like thank them and you're so genuine with them. So let's go back to the beginning. You started YouTube 6 years ago?
Yes.
And also you're my youngest guest too, I believe. You're 8 years younger than me.
Youthful.
Makes me want to die. But
oh my goodness.
Talk about it. I'm so old. Okay, so anyways, so 6 years ago, you start with YouTube just as a hobby. Mm-hmm. And I remember you said in an interview, it took about 3 years before you realized like, oh, I could actually like put effort into this and really make money and start, because you started seeing so much momentum. But what I was wondering is if in those first few years, were you trying to did you feel pressure to make sure you were different than the other YouTubers?
No.
Like to really make a mark?
No, I mean, in fact, I definitely was putting tons of effort into it before the 3-year mark. Actually, I was putting more effort into it, I think, than I did afterwards. I was making like 5 videos a day.
Oh, wow.
But it was more just because I was trying out things. I was, doing YouTube for the first time, so it was like, oh, the world is my oyster. I can do anything. And that's always what I tell kids who want to get into YouTube is I'm like, you can do anything, whatever you find that you find is passionate. And I'm kind of reverting to that right now on my YouTube channel. I'm more just utilizing it for whatever I want to utilize it in that very day, which I love, and I'm glad my audience loves that as well.
But you didn't feel, you were just doing you didn't feel pressure to like...
No, in fact, I took a lot of inspiration from other YouTubers because it was such a new thing at the time that I had no idea where to begin. So usually what you do when you do something new or something new in art in general is you kind of copy someone. So I definitely took influence from other influencers. Buzzword. Buzzword. There'll probably be tons of buzzwords in this. And then eventually adapted my own style.
So you said you were making tons of videos a day, but how much were you publishing back then?
Oh, I was publishing everything. I was publishing like 3 to 4 videos a week, and I privated all of them now because there was just so much bad content. But also, I take total pride in that because you have to start somewhere. I just was like, the world doesn't need to see this. I'm proud of it, but let's put it away.
Yeah, and you're in charge. So if you want to take it down, you can.
That's the best part. I'm my own boss.
Yeah. So was there a moment when, like maybe a YouTube check or a brand reaches out to you where you're like, whoa, like this is really becoming more of a career choice than just a hobby?
It was was more of a, so back in the day, they had a thing called the YouTube Partner Program. So to have ads on your video and to get money from YouTube videos, you had to apply and be accepted. So that was always something that I was working towards, not because I wanted money, but more so because your channel got upgraded and you were able to have custom banners and a lot more customization, and you just looked cooler, frankly.
Yeah.
And it was what all of the bigger YouTubers had. So I was like, oh my God, I want to be like the bigger YouTubers. I want to be in the partner program, not really realizing that that meant money. So I was always working towards being in that, and then it was almost like you were in this cool club of people who were partners. After that, I definitely started seeing money from it, and I was like, oh, this is like a cool bonus to something I was already doing, frankly.
I've heard you talk about, like, you know, you're so authentic, and you said that your fans will call you out if you ever do anything that's kind of off-brand in terms of like a sponsorship or a partnership. So when those first started coming in, how did you decide what to say yes to?
I mean, frankly, when they first started coming in, I was probably less, I probably curated them less in a way because I've never had them before. So I was like, oh, I don't know what this is like. This just sounds like free money in a weird way. It was like, oh, you want me to do a video? I already do that, cool. But then over time, as the audience got bigger and as I became more of a businessman, I guess, and more smart with my business, I realized, oh, I can't just do brand deals for anything. I can't do a brand deal for a paperclip because A, that would be hard. B, I don't think anyone else is going to want to see a brand deal for a paperclip. So, yeah.
So what is your criteria now?
Usually if it's something that I would use or I already use. I did a sponsorship for Calvin Klein the other day, and it was with a cologne that I've been using for a year. So it seemed like a total no-brainer. Right, yeah. It was easy to promote because I love it. Or a product that I would use. So Audible is one of my biggest sponsors, and I didn't use them at the time, but I was writing my first book at the time. So I was like, oh, this is something I should totally get into, audiobooks. It seems like something that fits.
Yeah, it made sense.
Yeah.
So I wonder when you started to grow, things really started to progress. You're hitting 1 million subscribers, 2 million. Did you start to feel pressure, like as a creator, like, okay, I've got to put out something every single week and it's got to be awesome?
Not initially. It was more, initially again, it was more just I wanted to put out videos. So I just kept putting out tons and tons of videos because I wanted feedback. I wanted interaction. It was almost like an addiction in a way. But then again, as like the audience got bigger, I started falling into kind of a format situation. So everyone knew that I would upload every single Monday, almost like a TV program, I guess.
Yeah. Do you recommend that for people who are just starting out now?
I guess just starting out, I recommend doing what I did and just upload whenever you want. I mean, definitely consistency is key. You need to practice and maintain an audience by giving them fuel, giving them videos. So yeah, I definitely recommend uploading as much as you can, to be honest.
Did you spend, like, now you have such raving fans. I mean, it's packed out there, and they when we came in, because we have gear, right? So we come in, we look somewhat official, and one of the girls goes, "Is Connor coming?" Like, her voice was like, what? I was like, oh, this is legit fan. Like, this is started.
They were climbing the bookshelves yesterday, and they broke one of them.
Oh my god!
I know. I felt so bad.
How did you respond to every comment? I mean, how do you create? I used to respond
to every comment. There was a while, for a few years even, where I was able to respond to every comment. That they were only, max 100 or more. So I craved comments, and I would just respond and interact with every single one of them. But then after a while, it became too much, and I frankly was like, I don't need to interact with every single person. But still to this day, I still find, I still go through the comments and I'll respond to various of them, even to this day.
What about on social media and that's not YouTube? Do you respond to a lot of people that way?
I am interactive with people on other outlets besides YouTube, probably more so. Yeah. Like things like Twitter, mostly Twitter, I use as just a way to engage directly with my audience. I find, like, on this book tour, I'm going a lot of places, so I'm just sitting in airports or sitting in cars, so it's so easy to jump on there and just respond to people and interact with people, even if it has nothing to do with me, because I follow fans, and if they're like, I had such a hard day at school, or I just had a delicious taco, I just randomly would jump in and throw in something from them, like, oh, that sounds good. But that's so boring. But usually it's more fun than that.
That's awesome, though. That's why people love you. You're so creative.
Thank you.
You put out so much. I mean, you've put out tons in the last last 6 years.
Thank you.
Do you have a process, like a writing process or a video process?
I mean, all the processes,
Yes.
the processes are different.
Okay.
For my book, it definitely is much slower of a process, which is strange as a millennial. Another buzzword. It's a strange thing to sit down and reflect and take your time. I mean, that took 16 plus months to create, from first word to the book cover in the end. So it's strange to write a book essentially for me, but it was enjoyable at the same time. Once you kind of ease yourself and hit the brakes a little bit, you kind of fall into the luxury of time, I guess. With a lot of the content I put out today, you have very quick deadlines. I mean, I make a single video every week, so technically the most I can spend on it is 7 days, but usually I do a lot of other things in the week, so the most I spend on it is a day. But if I had, a year to make one video, I'm sure it would be an absolutely amazing video. So the process is totally different, I guess. Mm-hmm. And YouTube videos too are like, for me at least, they're more of a moment in time. This, I'm hoping, has a lot of longevity in it, and I hope it's kind of something that can be relatable for years and years to come. Relatable, another buzzword, folks. But YouTube videos kind of are like a little bit of a hint in the moment, I think, or at least that's what I see. It's like,
do you do much planning for those?
Yeah, I definitely, I'll pick the topic. It's become more of a, what do I feel like doing on this very day, in this very moment? Mm-hmm. Do I have a topic I want to talk about? Do I feel like doing an interactive video, or do I feel like doing something more creative, which takes actually usually more than one day? That usually takes like good 3.
I want to know, what's like your number one tip for someone out there who wants to be an influencer, maybe on YouTube or maybe on Instagram, who wants to build a platform and a community like you did? Coming up, don't miss his number one piece of advice for achieving success. But first, I want to remind you that if you love these celebrity interviews, there are 3 ways you can support this show, this free show here on the internet, you guys. First, you can like this video and share it with your hustler and dreamer friends. Second, you can subscribe to the channel. And lastly, you can sign up to join Pursuit Nation. When you do, I will give you my top 10 success hacks for real life. How do we take all the tactics in these interviews with millionaires and celebrities and actually apply them to pursuing our own dream? That's what I break down in this PDF. Get your free copy at thepursuit.tv/top10. I also want to take a second to tell you about something really cool for those of you who are freelancers, if you have a service-based business, or maybe multiple side hustles, and you have a lot of invoices going out and hopefully a lot of that cash money coming in, right? If you're having trouble staying organized with all of that, you've got to check out FreshBooks. You can go right now, and it takes 30 seconds to set up, and you have a professional invoice with your colors and logo. No more recreating clunky Word documents over and over again, you guys. You can use the time tracker tool when you work to immediately bill your hours to a specific client. And later, you don't have to have that awkward conversation when your client forgets to pay, because FreshBooks will automatically send follow-up emails for you. Plus, in the dashboard, you can see quickly what's coming in, what's going out, and what's past due. You can easily sync your business credit card to automatically record and categorize your expenses. And best of all, it saves you hours of frustration and agony during the worst time of the year, tax season, because it tracks all of your tax information for you as you use it. All you freelancers, consultants, and coaches are going to seriously love it, and FreshBooks is offering a free 30-day trial to Pursuit Nation. So go to freshbooks.com/pursuit to start today. Make sure when the pop-up asks how you heard about them, you put in The Pursuit. If you're crushing it with your clients, but not so much with the organization, again, that's freshbooks.com/pursuit. I want to know, what's like your number one tip for someone out there who wants to be an influencer, maybe on YouTube or maybe on Instagram, who wants to build a platform and a community like you did?
Yeah, I mean, the best answer, and it's hard because I am an influencer, or I'm a person who started creating content on YouTube in a day that it was kind of easy to, there was a lot less content being put out. Right. So I think it's a lot harder to get noticed nowadays. So I'm not sure how to help you in that process, but I think the best way to do anything is just to do it, frankly. The hardest part about uploading to YouTube is uploading to YouTube. It's hard to get the guts and the courage to put yourself out there on a platform that anyone can see you on. So if you have the passion, you have the courage, just upload, just continue to upload and create content that you enjoy and that you yourself would want to watch. I find myself, even when I'm uploading, I'll rewatch my videos, and like don't want to turn it off. I like find it, enjoy. I'm like, look at me. I was a little bit funny there. Oh, that little edit, that was cute.
I know, I do the same thing.
And it's weird, but it's also, I'm like, that if I was annoyed at myself, then why should I expect anyone else to be interested in me?
Right. One more thing, like kind of a more meaningful thing I think to creators is that it's hard to know. I mean, you put everything out there, but you're also reserved in some things, like with family and some of your relationships, you don't put them on camera. But how, like when you came out, you decided to do your coming out video, how'd you know you were ready? How do you know, okay, this I can share and this I can't? Yeah,
I mean, for things like coming out, it was a long process to get to coming out just to one person for me, but then after I came out to one person, it was like a flood of, I can come out to anyone, I feel like this is the time, I want to be completely open with my friends and family. And then after that, I realized, oh, I'm perfectly okay with this, I love myself after this, this is great, I should utilize the platform that I have to hopefully help people that were like me and that were in the closet, because I used YouTube videos as kind of a catalyst to coming out for me. It was a way to relate to people when I was in Minnesota and didn't know a single gay person. So I'd watch YouTube videos of people coming out and them feeling good after it, or their friends reacting to it, and it just made me feel like it was a real thing that other people went through. So I wanted to utilize my platform and hopefully help someone else who was that little kid in Minnesota that was terrified to come out. And I still think it, to this day, is kind of the best thing I've ever done with my career. I still have people bring it up almost every single day.
Yeah. And so you had done it in person with people first, in real life before.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, like, there are definitely some people, like distant family members that didn't know, and I was just like, send them the video. It's easier this way. And it was like ripping the Band-Aid off. It's like, okay, anyone can know now, just like go. Yeah. It was total fear initially. I uploaded it and I was absolutely afraid, even though I was getting good responses. I just felt very naked and very anxious and vulnerable for days and weeks. But then, of course, after a few months of it settling in, I just felt utter peace and utter ease. It was like it was almost like, oh, all 7 billion people know I can walk around and just like feel free.
So let's pause there. How did you feel like you were ready to kind of take on something outside of just the video space and start creating more things?
It was a natural progression. I didn't even think about it as starting a company. I think because it started as just a compilation album name, and then it grew to, oh, I would love to have coffee. Oh, I should just have Common Culture Coffee. And then it just became slowly like, oh, that's my brand name. So it was a natural progression into a business. And I think that was just the direction that I found myself going in naturally.
But I think one of the things you've talked about is how important that is it manager or agent or both?
So he was my manager, now he's my agent.
Okay, and he
evolved like a Pokemon.
And he kind of helped you with setting up the business and finding the right people, is that right?
Yeah, my team is essential to what I do and everything I do. They connect me with the right people, they talk me through different processes. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am or who I am without my amazing team that I have behind me. It may seem like it's just me, but there are little people behind the scenes. Although the filming and editing and all that stuff is still 100% me. And of course, I still do all of that, but more so like the business transactions and relationships, that's other people do that. So I'm not as good at that.
What's your advice for finding the right person or team members, that person that's going to help you?
It's hard. I mean, because I accidentally found, like he was a tour guide at a company that I was with at the time, and I just kept asking him questions, and it was like a natural relationship that formed. So I, of course, go into business with people that you trust. Don't go into business with your friends or family, because that could end badly. But yeah, definitely, I mean, it takes time to find people that you trust and people that you vibe with and people that kind of even you out in a way. So I don't think there's really a right or wrong way to find them.
And what was the inspiration for this book? This is your second book.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't any, I mean, there was a million different inspirations, but the process was completely different than my first one. I found myself accidentally writing a second book. After the first one, immediately they were like, how about a second one? I was like, how about not? Let's calm down. It's not like I can just plop these books out like I guess they're not babies, but
a little bit.
You know, just what else you do daily. Poops. That was horrible. I'm so sorry. But that's like what they treat it. That's what sometimes they treat it like. It's like, oh, how about another one? I'm like, no, it's not that easy. It takes time. So I found myself just writing down over time, notes to myself, poetry, taking photos, writing short essays through like a rough period of my life. It was kind of a sense of therapy and a way to ease my mind just by putting the words on paper versus having them in my head. So after about 6 months of doing that, I thought I should tell my publisher that I had accidentally written like half a book, and to see if they liked anything that I had written and see if they would be interested in publishing more of that.
And they were.
And they were, yeah. They were like, thank God.
So talking about these raving girl fans that we can hear out there, and I'm sure some guys too, but
yeah,
it sounds like there's a lot of girls.
No, there's a lot of guys too.
Has fame, what's been like maybe the most unexpected thing about this level of fame?
Oh, everything to it. I mean, I was never one to like the spotlight. I was never one to, I guess I was when I was really young, but like in high school I was very reserved. All my friends were in theater. I was like an athlete that didn't like necessarily attention. So a lot of it, I guess just having people care about me daily is amazing, or knowing that people are thinking about me at all times is just like an interesting thing, or people that I can go to on Twitter and interact with them and they want to interact with me. That's kind of the best part of it, just the level of interaction.
Yeah, looking back over these last 6 years, what do you think's been the worst part and the best part?
The worst part? I was gonna say probably just that. It's definitely hard at times to know that you have a responsibility of having that many people looking to you for advice, or that many people wanting things from you, even if they're not pushing it necessarily. You still feel this level of work that you always have to accomplish. You always have to be doing something, and kind of unlike a musician or an actor, I don't get breaks. Like I don't have time in between movies or albums that I get to stop. YouTube is kind of a ever-going process. If you look online, you don't see a YouTuber just stop for like a month or 2 months, or let alone 6 months. So that's kind of the hardest part, is knowing that there's not really an end unless you somehow figure out to have one, or at least a break. So that's kind of hard to deal with. But the best part is what I just said. It's just the level of connectivity and having a voice in a generation that needs young voices and young voices of diversity. So someone like me who's in the LGBT community, I'm very proud to speak up and support the community as much as I can.
Amazing. And I know that they love you for it. I mean,
thank you.
And you've done so much, so that's awesome.
Thank you.
So maybe tell aspiring creatives and creators.
Yes.
They want to make things, they want to make cool things like
Yes.
you have. What's your advice for them other than just start creating? Some other advice for them.
Let's see, other advice, because I mean, that's the basis of it.
Yeah,
I was like, practice makes perfect. I mean, I guess be vulnerable with whatever it is that you're creating in your art, and definitely share it with people and take criticism, because you're never going to get anywhere unless or I guess you're never going to get more successful if you don't share it with people. So definitely share your art, be proud of what you make, and adjust it as so, because no one starts out being perfect. It takes time to become better at what you do. And the best part is you'll never be perfect, so you just work towards it.
Yeah, just keep working.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, we'll be right back after this with Fast Facts. Here are my top few keys to success for the rest of us from my interview with Connor Franta. Number 1, experiment at first. He said it's important to find your own voice. And even though he took inspiration from others, he was adding multiple videos per week, so eventually this led to his own style. He says if you're an aspiring YouTube creator, you can really do whatever you want to do that's your passion. He says just share it, be proud of it, and adjust it. No one starts out being perfect. Number 2, focus on quantity in a crowded market. Initially, Franta put up as many videos as he could, hoping for the feedback and the interaction. Yes, he recommends consistency, but he advises that today, frequency is more important. Another example of this is advice from another amazing guest we've had on the show, Gary Vaynerchuk, who has recently been telling musicians to put out almost 1 song per day if they can. Listen, guys, all markets are oversaturated markets. So quantity is the name of the game, which means, number 3, you've got to love the work. The only way you'll be able to keep up with the level of production required is to truly love the work. When Franta started making money from his channel, he said it was, quote, a cool added bonus, which means you can't get into this for the money, you guys. If you get into a new venture just because you love the end result and you don't love the process, you will not be successful. Number 4, cultivate community. Like many influencers I interviewed for the first few years, Franta responded to every single comment, and he still responds to people at random to this day. Listen, building a personal brand, especially being a social media influencer, is like a full-time job of its own that requires you to actually be social. If you have a full-time demanding career or a business to run and you want to build a personal brand on top of that, make sure you set aside the time and energy for cultivating community, for responding to comments, and for appreciating your audience. Number 5, focus on quality and creativity. Even when you're trying to publish content every day, you need to remember to make a plan and execute well. It may seem like vlogs that YouTubers put out are just thrown together, but Franta explains that he plans ahead and he gives himself a day for producing a regular weekly installment or 3 days or longer for more creative videos. For something like a book or a longer film, it takes way more time than that. So make sure that as much as you're putting out content every single day, you're also doing that in batches and putting in the right amount of planning and creativity into what you're creating. Number 6, get vulnerable. One of Franta's biggest pieces of advice for creators is to be authentic and prepare for criticism. He says to be vulnerable with whatever it is that you're creating. You're never going to get successful if you don't share what you're creating with other people. Now, when it comes to sharing very raw personal content, remember what we learned from Glennon Doyle Melton, who says we need to write from scars, not wounds. Franta had already started coming out in person with his family and friends before he posted his coming out video online. So make sure that you do get vulnerable as soon as you're ready. Number 7, follow the momentum. How did he go from YouTube to book deals to music albums to a coffee company and now a clothing line? His answer, remember, was that it was a natural progression. People followed him, he found things that he liked, and organically it started to grow. So as your platform grows and your mission and message evolves, you can start to be more flexible and add on natural extensions of your current brand. Number 8, build a support team. Just because you're the face of your brand doesn't mean you have to do everything yourself. Yes, Franta still is creating and editing his videos, but a lot of the business things, making connections, and the actual website, the e-commerce stuff, he has a team who does that. And he says he would not be where he is today without his amazing team. So make sure you find the right people to have around you for support. Number 9, be prepared for pressure and responsibility. If you want to build a platform with millions of followers, prepare yourself for the long haul, especially on social media. He explained that unlike actors or musicians, social media influencers don't get breaks between projects. It's an ever-going process with YouTube where you have to feed the machine week after week. In addition to his schedule that he has to keep up, there's also the knowledge that millions of people are looking to him for his opinion, waiting on his content, asking him for his advice. So be prepared for that burden. But that burden, he says, is also the biggest blessing.
Now I'd love to know, what was your favorite lesson from this interview? Leave a comment, and if you want to learn the juicy behind-the-scenes details like what was he like in person, how did I land this interview, see bloopers and more, go to thepursuit.tv/Connor Franta.
We are back with Fast Facts. Are you ready?
I am ready. I'm bad at these things, so we'll see.
That's what everyone says, but I tried to make it
My
really
brain just
easy.
can't. I think too far into the future, and I'm like, oh, but I like red in this moment, but what about blue tomorrow?
Okay, oh, leave out that.
Yeah.
Okay, chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
Scrabble or charades?
Ooh, Scrabble today.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Winter or summer?
Winter.
Really?
Yeah.
Wine or beer?
Beer.
Pancakes or waffles?
Ooh, this is the biggest debate. I've caused controversy on the internet.
I feel like you can judge an entire person.
You really can. And in this moment, I'm gonna say waffles, but yes, I see. But pancakes are amazing, I will say.
They are. I mean, they're very.
I just like
they're
breakfast.
Both wonderful.
Food.
I do too. I think breakfast is probably my favorite.
Is there like a, you know how there's a croissant and a donut, a cronut? Is there like a waff cake?
Panfle or waffcake?
Yeah.
Yep. I'm sure there is. Guilty pleasure TV show or favorite TV show?
We'll say Shameless.
What is the wallpaper on your cell phone?
Oh, right now it's a photo I took. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, I do.
It's we have
You have like 500,000 notifications.
Yeah, I'm like, everyone go away.
Cool.
Just a photo. Yeah.
It's pretty.
Yep, that's it.
What's the last thing you remember Googling?
The last thing I remember Googling, I just posted a thing for a charity I work with, Glisten, so I was Googling the right terminology to use because it's Glisten's Day of Silence, so I want to make sure I included all the things that they wanted me to include.
Gotcha, I just saw that on Instagram. You posted that. Recent book?
Recent book. Oh boy, this is going to be a hard one. Let me think. Ooh, Boss book by Lily Singh.
Oh yeah, that looks good. I can't reach it. Who's the last person that called or texted you?
Oh my god, let me think. Oh, it was probably my agent, Andrew Graham. Boring answer, but true.
How about who you called or texted?
Who did I call last? Oh, it was another work person. That's so boring. The last non-work person was one of my childhood friends, Jacob, and then called my mom probably.
Mom's always a safe answer.
Yeah, it's daily.
Okay, and favorite movie?
I'm gonna say a documentary, which kind of is a movie. Dior and I is one of my favorites, and I've watched it like 10 times, and I absolutely adore it.
Last vacation you took?
Hawaii. I went with my parents. Just me and my parents.
Favorite snack?
We'll say hummus and vegetables.
Favorite cereal?
Oh my god, the debate of the century.
That's another tough one.
There's this really good cereal that's called like Blueberry Morning, and it's like granola and oats with blueberries, and it's really, really good.
Sounds good. Favorite music right now?
Favorite music? I mean, just a lot of the new stuff that's out. Let me think. I really like the new Shawn Mendes song, and it's so new that I can't even remember the name of it. It just came out yesterday.
Well, I'll try and find it.
It's great.
What is your biggest pet peeve?
Biggest pet peeve? Loud eaters, I guess. Like people who, I guess just it sounds bad, things with mouths. Just like smacking.
But we all have mouths.
I know, but more like smacking and like just mouth noises.
Yeah,
I don't know. And I probably am guilty of doing it myself, but there's something about it, just once you hear it, you can't not hear it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I feel,
especially on video, then you just get so distracted.
I know.
What would one of your family members, like your sister maybe, or say is their biggest pet peeve that you do?
Probably that I'm stubborn, so that I guess not that I always think I'm right, but I'll fight to the end until they believe I'm right.
And what's one word you're guilty of saying too often?
Recently, I just became aware of it, that I've been saying like very frequently, more so than I have been ever in my whole entire existence. So just the word like, or literally, which is a very, I guess, young person thing to say, literally and like, you just include it throughout all of my sentences. And I guess it's become the new for me. I'll be like, that's bad.
Gotcha.
It's really bad.
Now you know?
Yes, I'm trying, but I forget. It's like it's a habit I need to break.
And what is your next pursuit? What's next for Connor Franta?
Next for me, common culture clothing. I definitely am pursuing that with a lot more depth to it. So keep an eye out.
Awesome. Okay, well, everyone, go get his book. And also, if you share this episode, you are going to get able to win a signed copy. He's going to sign this one, so super exciting. Thank you so much. This has been really fun.
Thanks for having me.
All those people out there are ready for you, so we'll let you go.
It's their time now.
It is. I'm Kelsey Humphreys here with Connor Franta, and this has been The Pursuit.